G'day guys, Solid here. Welcome back to the garage. Yes, I know I look like an Eskimo without any fashion sense, but it's cold, wet and windy here today in Solidville, so I'm dressing accordingly. Also, I wanted to get into my bike buying shenanigans. I've decided on what dual sport I'm going to get next, and you're probably wondering what the hell the elephant in the room behind me is doing. So I'm going to get into why I bought a cruiser and what my next dual sport is. So let's get into the video. So the first topic obviously is I've decided on my dual sport. And if you've been following this for a while, you know that it came down to a WR250R and the CRF450L. Now I've finally ridden both, and I've also had a lot of discussion back and forth with owners who have owned the WR250R and the CRF450L. So a shout out to Noob Routes, who was very helpful in his owner experience on having both. And also to JT Young, your channel has been fantastic, mate. And your comments as well on my channel really helped me kind of firm up my decision-making process. So I finally decided that I'm going with the WR250R. Now, a lot of you are going to be, aha, I knew it. It was always going to be a 250R, but what you didn't know is how close I came to going with the 450L. In fact, if this was 2017 and the 450L existed, I would have gone with the 450L, purely because I had 4 uninterrupted riding seasons by then. I was getting very confident in my skills, and I was finding the limitations of the 250R. But fast forward to 2020, and I've had 2 years without riding off-road at all. I've been quite ill over that time, and I've also had a very extreme job, so I'm not at my Olympic best, and I need something that can complement my basic skill set and build me back up to where I used to be. So I think the WR250R is going to do that job a lot better than the 450L. The 450L is just a bit too much for what I need at the moment. The second thing that really helped me decide on the 250R was that I could get a second-hand one and still afford a second bike, and the maintenance cost of owning 2 second-hand bikes is basically the same amount of cost that I would have to put into just owning the 450L. So that was another major factor, because more bikes are always better in my opinion. So the tantalizing option of having 2 motorcycles over one was just too good to pass up. So that's why you see the bike behind me. So the second important topic I wanted to discuss is the giant Japanese cruiser sitting behind me. That's a 2014 Vstar 1300. Yes, I know Japanese cruisers are the red-headed stepchild of the motorcycle community, but it's a little quirky and weird, and so am I, so that's why I like these bikes. Now, I could have gone with an adventure bike, and I'm sure a lot of you are scratching your heads wondering why the hell I didn't, considering how much I love off-road riding. Well, there are a few factors to go into it. When I did own an adventure bike, and I have ridden many as you know, when I did own one, I barely rode it at all, purely because any kind of adventure I went on, I always chose the WR250R because I could always pick it up, and no matter where I went, I knew I could get through anything I wanted on the 250R. So I chose it even if I was doing massive kilometers on highways and big road tours. If I knew I was doing a little bit of dirt, I would take the 250R just for that peace of mind. So I knew a big adventure bike would be kind of wasted on me because I'd only use it as a road bike. So that led me down to what to choose. The cruisers popped up. I do love cruisers. You know, I've just sold a Harley. A long time ago, I had a little 250 cruiser, and I really love that. And it showed me a lot of things about cruisers that they do just better, in my opinion, than other motorcycles. The first is comfort. If you're wanting something to just putt down the highway and be in complete comfort on, it's a cruiser. For me, they're super comfortable with the floorboards, that giant padded seat. It's just, you can't beat the comfort and the throb of that V-twin. So those are very appealing factors to me and was a big reason. The second big reason was price and features. I got this bike at a steal. Only has 20,000 kilometers on it, is near new condition, has plenty of extras as well. It came with panniers, an aftermarket exhaust and a few other nice little extras, which made it really appealing. And when you stacked it up against what was available in the adventure bike market, I was looking at bikes that had 50 to 100,000 kilometers on them, some of them absolutely shagged and just really looking worn. So condition wise, I was able to get a much better condition cruiser, a Japanese cruiser, just because they're not a very popular bike, so not many people want them. So that was my thinking. If I go for the unpopular bike, I'm going to get a much better quality machine than the V-Strom and the Super Tenerés and the old GSs that I was looking at. I got a much better quality bike when I went with the cruiser. So the third major factor was carrying a pillion. Now, when I've taken myself and my wife on adventures on my GS, it was just awkward because she's quite short, so she really disliked having to get up on the back of the GS. And I found it very difficult maneuvering us in low speed just because you're quite top heavy and it's quite hard to maneuver around at those low speeds. And we'd done the pillion thing on the 250 cruiser and it did it better than my GS, so that also got me thinking. So I found that this is much better, just something about where it carries the weight of the pillion in the frame and just how low you are to the ground makes it easier for the pillion rider to get on, and it keeps that center of gravity low, so at slow speed it's much easier for me to deal with a pillion on the cruiser. So that's the other major factor that went into me getting a cruiser over an adventure bike. So again, it was basically that the WR250R I'm going to pick every day of the week for all my adventure riding, so I didn't need an adventure bike. The second thing was I could get a much better quality cruiser than I could an adventure bike for my budget. And the third was, like I said, pillion comfort. So those are my major reasons why I've gone for the cruiser. So I hope that helps give you some idea of why I went with a cruiser. I know a lot of you are still going to be, oh, well, you've forsaken the adventure gods, so you're dead to me now, Solid, but that's just the way it is. Dual sport and adventure riding is always going to be my focus, but I love all motorcycles, so if something else can fit the bill like this cruiser can, then I'm not going to discount it. So that about wraps up this video, guys. I'll have a 250R in the garage pretty soon, I hope, as soon as a good example pops up on the used market. Also, I'm going to do an in-depth review for those of you who are interested in the Vstar 1300. And I'm also going to have Bike Banter's episode 2 coming out next week. So if you've got any questions or comments that you'd like highlighted in that video, post them down in the comments section below. And as always, guys, I've been Chronicles of Solid, and I'll catch you in the next video. See you later.